Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to Guns N' Roses Central, and we've got another week of news. I didn't do last week's video because my site was down. We were doing some back-end upgrades on it, but now it's up and running. And before we get started with this week's news, I want to tease something that's coming up on the channel. I hope you guys watched the Angry Anderson interview we did. It was a great interview. He was really great to give us so much of his time. We hope to have him on again in the future. And we're not stopping with just that. We've got another rock and roll legend we're going to be interviewing soon. Now, the person we're going to be interviewing was a huge influence on Guns N' Roses. And if you guys are a real Guns N' Roses fan, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about once the interview is released. And the person we're interviewing is a guitar player. They're not a vocalist. And they had requested that we do just a print interview. They have a busy schedule, so that's the nice thing about GNR Central is that we can do print interviews or we can do podcasts. Ideally, we'd like to have him on the podcast, but we recognize his time is really busy, so we're going to be doing an interview really shortly with him, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I'd love to know who your guesses are. I don't want to say too much because I might just easily give it away, but this band was a huge influence on Guns N' Roses, and it's a pretty well-known rock and roll band, so let me know your guesses down below. Now, the only people who actually know who the next guest is going to be is our patrons, so if you guys want to go support us on Patreon, you can go support us and you'll get a backstage pass to everything that's happening at Guns N' Roses Central, including guests we're going after, guests who we have coming up, and you'll even get sneak peeks and early access to the interviews as well as true story episodes. So for as low as $1 a month, you guys can get access to all that. So let's get started with this week's news. So our first piece of news this week is that Steven Adler's vocalist for his touring band has been announced. A lot of people thought that maybe it would be Sebastian Bach. There was a couple other guesses being thrown around. And over the last couple of weeks, we finally learned who it was, but now it's been officially announced. It's Constantine Morales. Now, if you guys don't know who that is, he was on American Idol. He was on, I think, season 6 or so, and he was not a finalist. I think he got eliminated sort of towards the end. He also appeared in Rock of Ages, the Broadway play, and he's had a number of other gigs along the way, and he's starred in some movies as well. So he's going to be joining Steven on his upcoming tour of Australia, as well as his US tour dates. Now, there are some videos of him performing Guns N' Roses songs like Sweet Child of Mine, and the reception I've heard from a lot of the online fans is that it's not great. He hyped it up so much. I think he's got to sell tickets, and that's why he's hyping it so much. Now, I was a little disappointed with the announcement, but I'd like to know from you guys, are you happy with the announcement? Are you disappointed? Is it swayed you whether you want to actually go see Steven's band if they're going to be in your city? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's go on to our next news story of the week. Steven Adler also announced who his touring lineup is going to be. So he's going to have some former members of Dokken and Extreme touring with him. So the lineup's going to be Constantine Morales on vocals, Carl Restivo on rhythm guitar, Sean McNabb on bass, and Michael Thomas on lead guitar. So I don't know if those names mean anything to you guys, but that's basically who's going to be touring with Steven in Australia and the US. Also, during our interview with Angry Anderson, we asked him if he's going to be attending any of the Steven Adler shows, and he said that he would be, along with some other members of Rose Tattoo. So he wouldn't confirm whether he'd get on stage to join Steven, but Steven did do a recent interview where he hinted there may be some surprise guest appearances. He also took some jabs at Axl Rose, saying it's great to sing with a real superstar, and that Constantine can match the old Axl in his prime note for note, which is a really laughable comparison if you've seen Constantine sing. There was also a Steven Adler news story that appeared on the website Live Kindly. So they did a profile of this Los Angeles vegan restaurant that Steven's highlighted in past interviews called Crossroads. So I guess it's been frequented by not just Steven, but also from former members of the Ramones, as well as the Stray Cats. So this is a photo that was put on social media showing Steven with some of the other famous musicians who attend the restaurant. The other big news this week is that Guns N' Roses out of the blue announced another tour date for their upcoming Europe tour this summer. So July 24th, they will be playing Reykjavik, Iceland. It's going to be the largest concert in the country's history, and it's going to be one of the smaller venues that Guns is probably playing. The venue where Guns is playing, it holds about 16,000 people, give or take, and just for comparison's sake, Iceland's population is about 300,000. So our next news story of the week is concerning Duff McKagan. Now, there's a YouTube channel called The Moth. I guess they have different people come and do readings and tell stories, and they recently released a new video of Duff. This is from, I think, 2014. Now, I had never seen this before. He talks about his struggles with being an alcoholic. He talks a little bit about Kurt Cobain and being on the same flight as him just before Kurt passed away. So I've linked to that down below if you guys want to go check it out. It's a really powerful thing to listen to, so I recommend you guys go check it out. Let's go into our next news story. We've also got some other Duff McKagan news. So he was spotted just on Fairfax, just across the street from Canter's Deli. I'm guessing maybe the things between Marc Canter and the Guns N' Roses camp have hopefully thawed. This is a photo that was taken with Paul Cook of the Sex Pistols and Billy Duffy of the Cult. I'm not really sure who posted this on Instagram, but it was circulating on the GNR forums earlier this week. And don't forget to go check out our exclusive interview with Marc Canter we did back in November when we were in LA. He was nice enough to give us almost 40 minutes of his time, and we talked all about Guns N' Roses, so go check that out. The link is in the description box below. We've also got some Slash news concerning Myles, Kennedy, and the Conspirators. So this week on social media, some photos emerged of Slash in the studio that Megan tweeted out, as well as some promo shots that Slash is going to be doing for his upcoming record. So if you guys remember, one of Guns N' Roses photographers, Gene Kirkland, who worked with Guns N' Roses back in the day with Robert John, he was actually taking the photos for Slash's recent promo shots. So these are some of the shots that showed up on social media with Slash and the Conspirators, and then Slash taking some solo pictures as well. This is a picture that Megan posted of Slash taking a break from the promo shots, and then this is another one that Megan posted of Slash in the studio working on his upcoming record. There's also a new interview with Phil Lewis of the band LA Guns, and he was asked about Axl Rose and AC/DC and whether Angus should record a new album with Axl. So he was on the Sticks for Stones podcast, and he said, yeah, if they come up with some songs and it sounds really good, because clearly Angus isn't ready to retire, and it's highly unlikely that Axl is going to do another Guns N' Roses record. So yeah, why not? F it. It might be interesting to see what those two come up with. I hope they do it. He also continued to say Axl sure can nail it. He can nail Brian's parts really well. He can hit those notes, but he doesn't have the gravel. It's just a clean voice when he does it, and it's a tiny, tiny criticism because he does it so well, but Brian Johnson's just got the grit. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, turning to Matt Sorum, in addition to writing his upcoming autobiography, he's also been working on another business investment called Artbit, which is supposed to help struggling musicians and other musicians get paid for their performances. And it was recently announced through the Cointelegraph that Matt Sorum is going to be one of the keynote speakers at the Crypto Invest Summit that takes place later this month. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to be videotaping the whole thing, but if they do, I'll try to get my hands on it and put it up on the channel. If you guys want to read more about the summit, I've linked to it down below. We have another Matt Sorum story. So actor Verne Troyer passed away over the last week or so, and some of the members of Guns N' Roses took to social media to pay their tribute. Matt Sorum was one of them. Now, Matt Sorum gave an interview to Australian radio several years ago where he talked about the days when he used to party with Verne Troyer. I guess both of them would spend a lot of time together, and he said that Verne could pretty much hold his own. Slash also took to social media to also pay his tributes to Verne Troyer. And then for all you Chris Pitman fans, looks like Chris Pitman's finally resurfaced, and they've let him out of the vault. And he posted something new on Instagram. So if you guys don't remember, Chris Pitman was a legendary keyboardist who played in Guns N' Roses for almost 20 years. He played for about 18 years. Then he got fired because he opened up his mouth and criticized the reunion. Then he sued Axl because he hadn't been paid in a couple of years apparently, and then they settled out of court. And it looks like he's back in the studio. He had posted something on Instagram a couple of years ago alluding to the fact that he was possibly working on the new Tool album. He had worked with Tool back in the 90s, and I'm guessing that was one of the things that made Axl want to work with him. Now, one thing I had read about Axl and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is that he wanted some of the members in his version of Guns N' Roses at the time to be inducted. Could you imagine if Chris Pittman had been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for doing nothing? We've also got some Gilby Clarke news. So he appeared on April 24th at the Whiskey A Go-Go. He did a Night of the Rolling Stones tribute, and there is some fan footage that's appeared online. So I've put it in the description box below if you guys want to go check it out. We've also got some Myles Kennedy news. So he recently announced that he's going to be doing another tour of Europe to support his solo record, Year of the Tiger. Myles had originally played some dates in the UK back in March, but it looks like throughout the summer, starting in late June all the way to the end of July, he's going to be doing dates in England, he's going to be in Germany, he's going to be in Italy, Spain, France, and who knows, he's going to be in Europe around the same time that Guns is touring, so maybe he'll be backstage, or maybe he'll come on stage and do an appearance with them. I highly doubt the later is going to be happening, but who knows. I'm not really having many hopes in terms of seeing anything new on the Guns N' Roses upcoming tour in Europe this year. So that does it for this week's Guns N' Roses and related news. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Be sure to subscribe if you love Guns N' Roses as much as I do. We're going to be doing a lot of exciting coverage for their upcoming tour in Europe. We're going to be posting a new video every single day for 2 months. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and be sure to follow us on social media and support us on Patreon as well. Take care.